Tonight, a vaccine mandate.
We all want our lives to get back to normal, and fully vaccinated workplaces will make that happen more quickly.
President Biden announcing some 4 million federal employees must be vaccinated or face strict COVID testing. We speak with the former Surgeon General under President Trump, Jerome Adams. Plus, devastating wildfires out west. The White House meets with governors from 7 western states. Can anything be done? And abortion in America. Democrats pushing forward to use taxpayer dollars for abortions at home and abroad. All this and more tonight on Faith Nation. The Delta variant more infectious than previously thought. Good evening, I'm Jenna Browder. The war against COVID-19 raging on with another groundbreaking announcement from the CDC. Health officials say the Delta variant is as contagious as the chickenpox and a threat to both the unvaccinated and the vaccinated. CBN's Brody Carter joins us with the new details on the Delta variant and the pushback we're seeing with these new mandates. Brody.
Well, Jenna, this is the document. It was released today by the CDC. It's also a case study out of Massachusetts. It claims that COVID-19 is just as dangerous to those vaccinated as it is to those who are not. And as the new mandates keep rolling out, the pushback begins. The CDC's revival of the mask mandate is already causing tempers to flare.
The CDC has become a political arm of the administration. It wants to control every element of our life.
Tuesday, round 2 of masks. The CDC issuing guidance for all Americans, vaccinated or not, to once again wear masks indoors in places where the virus is spiking. And Wednesday, President Biden announcing all federal workers must be vaccinated or submit to regular testing. Biden now pushing for private sectors to mandate vaccinations as well.
We all want our lives to get back to normal, and fully vaccinated workplaces will make that happen more quickly and more successfully.
And with so much drama surrounding the Delta variant, an internal document allegedly recovered by the Washington Post claiming the CDC is backing up its latest mask mandate by calling the Delta variant more contagious than chickenpox, able to spread faster than Ebola. CBN News asking the CDC to speak with us on the matter, but they declined an interview.
If you would have told me that we were still talking about this a year ago.
Conservative podcaster Allie Beth Stuckey with Relatable, questioning this week's announcement by dissecting Sweden's low COVID case and death rates.
And so Sweden has just followed science the entire time. And now we sit here today. Yesterday, they broke their 12-day string of 0 deaths. 0 daily deaths in a nation of 10.2 million. That's the population of Michigan, by the way. Yeah. They went 12 consecutive days with no deaths. Yesterday, they broke their string. They went back and retroactively attributed a single death on 2 different days.
The program went on to call vaccinations a pagan ritual. Ben Shapiro on Fox News calling the CDC's announcement insane. No matter the politics, one pastor's calling on Christians to be vigilant. Dr. Robert Jeffress, pastor of First Baptist Church in Dallas, hosting vaccination clinics with the Dallas Health Department.
Some churches that have completely ignored the coronavirus and, quite frankly, have been irresponsible about this probably should rethink what they're doing in light of the spreading variant.
It is important to know, prior to this week's reinstated mask mandate, 9 states already banning or limiting face mask mandates, with 4 Republican governors signaling their opposition to the most recent recommendations. Now, in all of the science, it says the Delta variant is on the rise, while the political debate surrounding this virus, it's also heating up. I'm Brody Carter, CBN News.
And joining us now, former Surgeon General under President Trump, Jerome Adams. Sir, great to have you on with us this evening. What do you make of the CDC's reversal on masks?
Well, this is something that health experts, myself included, have been calling for since May, when the CDC put out the recommendation that people needed to either mask it or vax it. They said that if you were unvaccinated, that you needed to continue to wear a mask. If you were vaccinated, you no longer needed to wear a mask. And we thought that that was a little bit premature at the time. And the fact is, we've seen now many more people going maskless than we know statistically are vaccinated. So that's problem number 1. Problem number 2 is that we've now seen this Delta variant is incredibly contagious. about as contagious as chickenpox. It produces 1,000 times more viral particles than the original COVID strain. And so there's a real concern, especially with emerging data, that even vaccinated people can spread the virus to an extent. And that's why you're seeing this change in guidance from the CDC. I think it was the right thing to do to give health officials on a local level the ability and the flexibility to use these tools. And the point that people need to understand is that if we can get more people vaccinated, then that prevents the need for using other mitigation measures, such as masking, such as our kids possibly having to return to virtual school this fall, not just going to school with masks, but having to attend school virtually if we can't get this pandemic under control.
Yeah. What do you say to those who don't think it's the government's place to mandate mask wearing or vaccines? Here's Nikki Haley in response to the new CDC guidance. This is a quote: "Stop the madness. Don't ask people to get vaccines and then punish them by taking their rights away. Punishing kids and well-meaning adults is abusive at best." What do you say to that?
Well, I understand the frustration that people have. What I would say very honestly is we're going to be living with this virus for a while. I think both the prior administration and the current administration wanted to declare victory over the virus. But the fact is it's not going away anytime soon, and we need to learn to live with it. The good news is that God has given us several miracles in the form of 3 FDA-approved or 3 FDA emergency use authorized vaccines in a record amount of time. Remember, this time last year, most scientists were saying it would be a year or more before we'd have a single vaccine. We have 3 now, and we've got more vaccines than what we know what to do with. We've got treatments. We have increased testing. We have the ability to control and live with this virus. And that's what I want people to focus on and understand. And also to understand that this virus is tricky and it continues to evolve. We continue to see new variants, and people have to be prepared for the fact that we're going to have to adapt strategies as we experience new variants, particularly to preserve hospital capacity and to protect the vulnerable among us.
Yeah. Aren't most of the hospitalizations now among the unvaccinated? It's something like 99%?
Exactly. And this is a key. Even with the new CDC data suggesting that vaccinated people can spread the virus, I want people to understand that the #1 benefit of the vaccine is in preventing severe disease and hospitalization and death. And so the vaccines are still incredibly effective, even against the Delta variant, at preventing you from ending up in the hospital, or preventing you from, worse, ending up in the cemetery. And that is why we want you to get vaccinated today. We also still believe that the vaccines are effective at slowing spread, even if you can spread the virus while vaccinated.
Yeah. You know, there has been a lot of confusion around all of this and messaging from this administration. I'm curious what you think. What more can the Biden administration do to make the messaging clear, to get those who are vaccine hesitant to go and get their shot?
Well, we keep talking about the vaccine hesitant. First of all, I want people to understand we have more people vaccinated for COVID than what we usually have in a typical flu season. So we're doing better than what we usually do for adult vaccinations in the area of COVID. We are currently getting over 500,000 people vaccinated every single day for COVID. That is not insignificant. So I want people to understand we're actually doing a good job. It just always is being compared against this virus that continues to spread and continues to impact our lives. I found that when you treat people with compassion and with respect, when you listen to and answer their questions, then in many cases you can move people to get vaccinated. And that's Black or white, Democrat or Republican, rural or urban. People just have questions. There's only about 14% of our population right now who says that they will never get the vaccine. That means 86% of people out there either have gotten it or are willing to entertain getting it if we just answer their questions with love, with compassion, with patience.
Yeah, all of that goes a long way. A little love, compassion, respect. Former Surgeon General Jerome Adams, we love having you on tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, wildfires continue to rage out west. The issue was front and center at the White House today. Governors from 7 western states all there to discuss how the federal government can help. This was the second of what President Biden says will be regular meetings. CBN News White House correspondent Eric Phillips is at the White House with more. Eric.
Jenna, if the president was looking for feedback, that's exactly what he got. But he started off by acknowledging how severe this wildfire situation is.
Despite the incredible, and this not being solicitous, the incredible bravery and heroism of our firefighters, our resources are already being stretched to keep up. We need more help, particularly when we also factor in additional nationwide challenges of pandemic-related supply chain disruptions and our ongoing efforts to fight COVID.
By all accounts, this year's wildfire season is far worse than last year's. According to California Governor Gavin Newsom, the wildfire season there has not even officially begun, yet 7,400 personnel are already engaged in fighting them.
We're blowing past every record, and not in a good way. Record-breaking year last year, we were at 130,000 acres burned. We're at 504,000 as I speak to you today. We need your support to dramatically increase the aerial support in addition to boots on the ground. We need your help to change the culture in terms of the suppression strategies in this climate, literally and figuratively, to be more aggressive on these federal fires.
Both the president and vice president were listening intently today. One message that was repeated over and over by the governors who were on the line on that call was that they need the federal government to act quicker in instances where these fires begin on federal property. They say the response has often been sluggish, and that means those fires have had an opportunity to spread to nearby properties. Also, the president said that after today's call, he would go to the Pentagon to see what he could do to make sure that these states and governors have access to DoD satellite technology that will make it easier for them to detect and fight these wildfires. That was something else that was specifically referred to by California Governor Gavin Newsom. The latest from the White House. Eric Phillips. Jenna, back to you.
All right, thank you, Eric. Coming up, new challenges facing the pro-life battle as Democrats controlling Congress push forward their agenda.
Come home to the sounds of Southern Gospel from CBN Radio. You'll enjoy a rich Southern blend of bluegrass, classic gospel, and Southern gospel favorites like the Gaithers, the Crab Family, and bluegrass sounds like Mountain Faith. So make yourself at home with the all-new CBN Southern Gospel, now available at cbnradio.com.
It's about the competition.
I kind of put that pressure on myself, and I think people had expectations.
It's about overcoming.
We use this phrase all the time, keep chopping, keep practicing hard.
It's about going the distance.
I think as a father, it's my job, to lead, just be the best husband and father I can be.
Watch Going the Distance with Sean Brown Saturday night at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
Welcome back. Well, tonight there are new challenges facing the pro-life movement. House Democrats are celebrating legislation that would allow taxpayer dollars to fund abortions, both at home and abroad. The Hyde and Helms amendments keep this from happening, and these Democrats have voted to repeal both.
For the first time in decades, we're standing up for health care for all women and their constitutional rights by repealing the Hyde and Helms amendments and global and domestic gag rules.
And here now for more, Prudence Robertson with the ProLife Susan B. Anthony list. Prudence, welcome. Great to have you. So we're talking about both the Hyde and the Helms amendments. Explain to our viewers at home how they work and have for years.
Absolutely, yes. So Democrats have doubled down on their abortion extremism by stripping both of these amendments from the federal budget. The distinction here is that the Hyde Amendment protects taxpayers and stops federal funding of abortion domestically here in the United States, while the Helms Amendment stops federal funding of abortion overseas and stops American taxpayer dollars to go towards abortion as a method of family planning internationally. And it really is just a shame that Democrats, emboldened by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, are caving to the abortion lobby and pandering to them in order to force their extreme agenda and go against what their constituents want. When the government funds something, we get more of it. And the United States does not need more abortion. They do not need the intentional killing of unborn children. The Hyde Amendment alone has saved 2.5 million of our fellow Americans. 2.5 million Americans are alive today because of the Hyde Amendment. And these actions fly in the face of the unity that Democrats claim that they want to promote here in the United States. And this really is just shameful.
Prudence, do you think the Senate will pass related legislation and these bills would eventually become law?
Well, we're very thankful to Senator Manchin for being a brick wall to protect the Hyde Amendment. We think that we have enough Republican support in the Senate that we will be able to stop these extreme bills from passing on the Senate side. And it's really been amazing to see the unity in contrast to the extremism of the Democrats, of Republicans on the Hyde Amendment. You know, the whole GOP conference in the House supported an amendment advanced by Representative Cole that would have restored Hyde to the federal budget. So it's so important, and we're so thankful to our leaders who are fighting on the front lines of this battle. And these bills are way too extreme for the Senate to be passed. So we're hopeful that this is where the buck stops.
We know SBA is, one of the dominant groups leading the charge for the pro-life community. What are groups like yours and others doing to fight this sort of legislation?
We have been working nonstop for months now with our allies on the Hill, as well as with our allies across the nation, to expose the extremism of Democrats on this issue and really make sure that voters understand that their Democrat representatives on the Hill do not represent the common sense policies that they want. Marist polling shows that the majority of Americans, 58% of them, oppose taxpayer funding of abortion at home. And when you ask them about taxpayer funding of abortion overseas, that percentage skyrockets to almost 80%. 80% of Americans believe that we should not be funding abortion, this gruesome procedure that kills unborn children and hurts women and their families. So we're making sure that Americans know where their representatives stand, and we're fighting day and night to ensure that these bills are killed.
Prudence, while I have you here, I do want to ask you about the Dobbs late-term abortion case. Can you give us an update on that? I know it's something that you're closely tied to.
Absolutely, yes. This is a watershed moment for our movement right now, as we see several pro-life groups from across the nation, both nationally and in the states, submitting amicus briefs in the Dobbs late-term abortion case. The Attorney General of Mississippi, Lynn Fitch, she filed her merits brief in the case last week and very strongly said that this is the moment that the national fever on abortion could be broken. It's up to the court now to take the handcuffs off of states and allow them to pass laws that are reflective of the people that live there. It's time for legislators to be able to determine abortion law, and Roe versus Wade, together with Casey, were profoundly undemocratic, and it's time that abortion jurisprudence change in our nation.
Prudence Robertson with the Susan B. Anthony list. We have to leave it there. We're out of time. Thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Thank you. Have a great night.
You too. And when we come back, they stood by U.S. troops for years during the Afghanistan war. What's being done now to help Afghan interpreters and their families?
Too often, we carry baggage from our past. You know what it's like. It affects everything and everyone in our lives. It's always there, weighing us down and keeping us from achieving true happiness. But do you know God never meant for us to be trapped in the past? You can be free of your baggage. Learn how God's forgiveness leads to changed lives and new beginnings. Call the 700 Club.
I'm Ephraim Graham, and this is Studio 5. Cruise with me as I discover the good things happening in the world of music, sports, television, and movies.
The fact that Ryan Coogler was going to be directing the film, I knew that something special was going to happen.
We'll chat with artists at the forefront of entertainment and explore the connection between popular culture and faith.
I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit.
Wednesday night at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Tikkun Olam.
This is our nature as a country.
To make the world a better place.
Literally, we felt the earth shaking.
The Christian Broadcasting Network presents To Life, how Israeli volunteers are changing the world.
This film needs to be seen by everyone.
I was in tears.
Now you can own the inspiring documentary To Life on DVD.
There is blood on our hands if we know and we walk away.
I'm so grateful that this film was made.
To Life can be yours for a gift of $10 or more. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to cbn.com.
We know that every minute counts to save life.
It'll bless Israel, but it'll also bless all the friends of Israel.
Discover the untold story of how Israeli volunteers are making the world a better place. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to cbn.com to get your copy today.
They worked alongside Americans in Afghanistan during that country's 20-year war, and today many of them arrived on U.S. soil. The first flight evacuating more than 200 Afghans arrived just outside Washington, D.C. at Dulles International Airport early this morning. Mark Martin joins us with more. Mark.
That's right, Jenna. The evacuation flights bring out former interpreters and others who are concerned Afghanistan's Taliban might retaliate against them because they worked with American military personnel and civilians. They, along with their family members, eventually arrived at Fort Lee in Virginia. The Biden administration calls the evacuations Operation Allies Refuge. It has wide support from both sides of the political aisle and from veterans groups. Supporters say the Taliban numerous times has targeted Afghans who worked with Americans or with the Afghan government.
There's a hotel that's relatively new on that base that will be used as a processing center for up to 2,500 Afghans at a time. The expectation is once they come into Dulles, they'll be transferred to Fort Lee for prompt processing. Many of them need to have medical exams completed before they can be relocated with families and in communities around the United States.
At today's news conference, Senator Kaine went on to say that there are already 70,000 Afghans who have special immigrant visas living in the United States. He says many of those processed at Fort Lee will go into these Afghan communities around the country. President Joe Biden announced earlier this year that by September 11th, the U.S. would withdraw all its troops from Afghanistan, and that honors an agreement reached by former President Donald Trump. He later stated that August 31st would mark the end of the U.S. military operation, labeling it overdue. Some administration officials have revealed surprise at the magnitude and speed of territory gains by the Taliban in Afghanistan since then. Biden said the U.S. will continue, however, to support the war-torn country by providing security assistance to Afghan forces. He said the U.S. also will provide humanitarian and development aid to the people of Afghanistan. Back to you, Jenna.
So, Mark, what about funding for the Afghan visa program?
Good question. Congress overwhelmingly passed legislation Thursday that allows 8,000 more visas and more than $1 billion in Pentagon and State Department funds. Jenna?
All right, Martin, thank you very much. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Well, to the crisis at the southern border, Senator Lindsey Graham is demanding the Biden administration do something to stop the flow of illegal immigrants coming into the country, some with COVID-19. Graham is calling on the administration to regroup and, quote, get fresh eyes on the problem. Last month alone, 188,000 illegal immigrants came to the United States.
The system is literally broken.
We're creating a national security nightmare for this country. It would be very easy for terrorists to integrate themselves in the flow of illegal immigration. Our border communities are under siege. The hospitals are full. The cops are having to do more than they can possibly do. And it is now time to define the problem and fix the problem.
Graham called on the people down at the border who are dealing with the crisis heroes. He says they need a break from the overwhelming situation and that the current policy must change. Meanwhile, more talks on infrastructure. House Democrats urging their colleagues in the Senate to work with them on passing a House infrastructure bill into law. Congressman Peter DeFazio says he thinks it's the easiest way to make infrastructure happen.
I'm expressing a strong desire that should the Senate pass a bill, that we should conference that bill and work out our differences. We've already passed a major bill in the House. It has all the objectives that the President and the White House set out for me, and I want to make certain that they're in the final package.
We'll see if that happens. Still ahead, an app for grumpy cats that can tell you how your cat is really feeling. We'll explain.
It's the new Superbook Bible app. It's packed with games, activities, and Superbook episodes that you can watch for free. Oh, no! There's trivia, a fun daily devotional, and answers to your Bible questions. Plus, an easy-to-understand Bible the whole family will enjoy. You can even create your own Superbook character. Ta-da! It's the new Superbook Bible app. Free downloads on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon.
On the home front.
Thanks for joining us for CBN's On the Home Front, where we highlight what the men and women of America's military do to defend our country. CBN honors the men and women in our military with an initiative called Helping the Home Front. It partners with churches across the country to meet the needs of their military families, from repairing homes to wiping out medical bills for wounded veterans.
Wednesday at 3 on the CBN News Channel. Get Protect Your Sleep and discover how to improve the quality of your life. A free DVD or booklet from the Christian Broadcasting Network.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
5 leading experts help remove the obstacles between you and restorative sleep.
When you don't get a restful night's sleep, you wake up with an accumulation of stress.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to CBN.com to get your free DVD or booklet today.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
You'll discover how food affects your sleep, how to put insomnia to rest, explore effective remedies for sleep apnea, and much more in Protect Your Sleep. Wake up to your best life and get Protect Your Sleep today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to CBN.com to get your free DVD or booklet.
Finally tonight, if you've ever wondered if your cat is feeling okay, well, there's an app for that. It's called Tably and uses facial recognition to decode your cat's facial cues and assess how they're feeling. It's based on something called the Feline Grimace Scale, muzzle tension, and more. Have a great weekend.